Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Oren and today I have an interview with none other than Zulie Rane. Zulie is a creator and a writer. She is a Medium writer turned YouTuber, and she has a lot of experience creating content online because guess what? She made it. She is now doing content creation full-time. Zulie is also one of my own inspirations in content creation. I have been following her journey for a long time, and that's why I was so excited to bring this interview and share it with you. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So I want to take you to Zulie before Medium. I believe you said before that you joined Medium in 2018. If I remember correctly. What was life like for Zulie from like the beginning until you started writing on Medium?
Well, a lot of people know I have a pen name. So the honest answer is Zulie didn't exist before Medium. Zulie only started existing when I started writing on Medium, to be totally honest with you. I don't even think Zulie was my first pen name. Wait, yeah, no, it was. I think I played around a couple different pen names that I had in mind, and I ended up going with this one. But before that, when I was a kid, I'd always wanted to write a fiction book. Like the idea of making my living by writing something that reached people and touched people, that's what I wanted more than anything. You know, you go to high school, you go to college, you learn that writing fiction books is very hard to do and often not very profitable. I realized that I probably couldn't be a fiction writer and it would be quite scary to try, so I decided not to. I thought I would go for something that would earn me a living and I would be able to do, have a happy life reading a lot, maybe doing some fun writing on the side, but nothing serious. And then, in 2018, I had this Instagram account for my cats at Astrid and Jimbo, and one of the tips I read for how to grow an Instagram account is add a blog. Like add a blog and see if you can deepen your connection with your followers that way. So I started a blog for Astrid and Jimbo on Medium, and I started writing a lot of cat stuff, cat articles about cats, cat care, articles from like their perspective, my cat's perspective. And it was a lot of fun. And a couple of articles did pretty well enough for me to realize, hey, this Medium thing it's really something. And then I was like, well, what if I try writing about something other than cats? So I started writing about writing. I started writing about psychology. I started writing about other things that interested me. And that's when I first started seeing my Medium take off. A couple months after I started was when I was writing about whatever I wanted to. And that was really fun. So that's my journey to the start of Medium.
Wow, I never knew that you started writing on Medium cat content.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's so funny.
It's a funny way to start. I deleted most of them, but I think there's a couple of old cat articles if you scroll back far enough. There's the one that really took off was called like How to Piss Off Your Cat or something, and it earned me a couple $100, which I was blown away, right? I'd never made money writing like that before. It was incredible.
Okay. I'm curious about your beginning on Medium. Like you started writing on Medium, you started creating cat content, and then going towards stuff that are about writing and all of that. But I'm curious about the quote unquote hardships of writing on Medium at the beginning. I remember when I joined Medium at February 2019. I remember seeing both you and Shannon and Ashley. You two were the most recommended Medium writers for me.
Wow.
So how was it at the beginning? You were having trouble with gaining traffic and stuff, or actually it was maybe easier back then?
I don't know if it was easier back then. I've heard a lot of writers who did struggle. I think I just had a good combination of, I figured out publications really early on. That was a huge help. I knew what topics were popular. I wrote a lot in pop psychology. This trick will help you make a good first impression, that kind of stuff. That did really, really well on Medium back then. And I was already a good writer because I'd read so much in my life. I think a lot of people start on Medium and they have a lower sort of not quality of writing, but you start writing on Medium to learn how to write well. I think looking back at some of my stuff, I'm a lot better now, but when I started writing, I was already pretty good. I think because I'd read so much in my life and doing all of my degrees, I'd practiced writing a lot during that. So maybe that was all I needed to get a good start. Yeah, my first month was not great. I think I earned like $3. I was very happy with those $3 because I made them writing about my cats. Amazing. But the second month I made $500. So it was just, and it's only been up from there.
That's awesome. What do you like to read?
I read a lot of sci-fi fantasy. So N.K. Jemisin, Nnedi Okorafor, let's see, who else? I'll occasionally venture into some Isaac Asimov, although he's not my favorite. Really like Brandon Sanderson, that kind of thing.
Ooh, I like Brandon Sanderson too. That's amazing.
He's a classic.
Okay, I did want to ask you, there's something interesting that you said in one of your YouTube videos. And I think you also mentioned it in an article on Medium, that you don't do outreach for freelance work, that the freelance clients come to you. Was that like something that you intentionally did, or is that like something that grew organically as people started reaching out to you?
A little bit of both. So when I first started being 100% freelance, I was like, oh my God, I don't have a stable income anymore. I need to increase my Medium earnings, or I need to figure out how to get more money some other way. I didn't have a huge like email list at that point. I didn't have that many regular freelance clients. So I did try pitching at first. I think I sent, I don't know, a handful of pitches. I did some on LinkedIn. I did some email outreach. None of it worked. And I quickly realized, okay, I'm not very good at pitching. I'll try to figure out another way to make money. Around the same time, I started getting a couple of inbound leads from people saying, hey, I saw your article on Medium. I'd love for you to write something like that for my blog, my website blog, or ghostwriting for me or something like that. So that's when I realized that I could get clients another way, that I could write articles. I mean, at first it happened by accident, but I've since worked out how to write articles when I'm like fishing for a new freelance client to come across my article and hire me to do more stuff for them. So a little bit of both.
That's awesome. That's a good way to navigate. Personally, I don't like, I'm not seeing myself doing any freelance work anytime soon because I am just stumped with day job. But it's good to see it like that there's a little bit of balance in terms of like, you can do it maybe this way. You don't have to do it like how people say you need to do it online.
Yeah, absolutely.
At what point you decide to start a YouTube channel?
This was early on. I think it was May 2019. Yeah. So I actually looked this up because I was wondering. I was like, God, how did I get started on YouTube? I couldn't remember. So I looked it up, and I used to be part of this Facebook group called maybe something like Medium Partner Program Friends, something like that. And one of the like admins of the group was like, hey, we're thinking about putting together an FAQ for YouTube. Would any of you young folk be interested in doing it? And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? That sounds like fun. So I put together like a video, and I had such a good time doing it. It was really fun, and the response was also great. That was something that I've always been really conscious of, to go on a slight tangent, is that I was lucky. In a lot of respects with my journey on Medium, I stumbled into the right doors almost by accident. Like, I wasn't some kind of Medium genius when I started. I think I just figured out publications early. I just figured out how to do good titles early. And I wanted to give that to other people. And doing that on Medium was one way, but then doing it on YouTube, I realized was another way to try to open some of those doors for other people as well, who also deserve the chance just as much as I do to make a living by writing about what we love. So I did that video, had such a good time, got an incredible response, and was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. So I think that was May 2019, yeah.
I remember the beginning of your YouTube channel. I was, at the beginning, I was so excited for you because I've been following you at that point. I've been a Medium follower of yours for, I think, maybe a year already, or at least a few months. And then I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, at the back of my mind, this was like, if Zulie is doing it, then maybe I can do it too. But like for me, that was when I started a different direction altogether. Like I started like doing more TV show stuff. But yeah, when you started, I was so excited for you because it showed like that's awesome that writers can become creators on other platforms too. You have sort of an open inbox policy, if I can call it like that.
Yeah.
People can send you any like questions about Medium or content creation in general. What was the moment when you felt like people were seeing you as an expert of some sort?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question. I think because it's hard to think of myself as an expert. I can only think of myself as like, I might know more than not you, but more than somebody who's watching this or listening to this right now. That doesn't necessarily make me an expert, but it means I have more answers than somebody else might. So I don't know that I see myself as a Medium expert at all. Like, I'm an advanced user. We can call it that. I think it was at the point that I realized that not everybody can just start on Medium and start getting like thousands of dollars within a couple of months, that wasn't a normal trajectory for writers. And that although I was a good writer, there were other factors that had led to that, and that I had the answers that other people might not have. Like, don't write as though you're writing in a diary. That doesn't interest readers. Put some thought into your titles. Like, it's basic stuff, but I realized that other people didn't know that and didn't know how to even get started. So I was getting some questions on my Medium articles and stuff that I thought was kind of like maybe intuitive or normal, but things that people were still asking. So when I realized that I had the answers to those questions, I think is when I started thinking of myself as an expert.
Okay. Yeah, I think like the impression, at least like when I think when I sent you a few months ago even, when I sent you like an email about something you said in a YouTube video and got back your auto reply, that was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. That was like so good. You sent me to this Medium FAQ with a friend link. That was like, there's a lot to learn here. That's good. You're very transparent about your online earnings. Is that like a conscious decision to share that online, or is that like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, it was a conscious decision, and it's a choice I make every month, basically. I'm like, okay, it's May. It's May of 2022. It's time to do another income reveal. And the reason it's always an active decision is because I know a lot of people don't like it when I do that. A lot of people see it as bragging, or I don't know, like just a little tacky to talk about money that way, or to say like, oh, I did this, here's how you can do it too, which I never want to do. Like everybody comes from different circumstances. Like you're still in your day job. By necessity, you're never going to be able to put in the same kind of like hours as I can into Medium because you've got other responsibilities. There are people with families, there are people with other jobs or caretaker duties. So I never want to like be like, oh, that's so easy to do this, anyone can. But I do want to show that there is potential, that it's not a black box, it's not a mystery. I write these articles, they make this much money. I submit to these publications, these ones do better. I'm figuring out stuff, I'm not the best, but I'm certainly not the worst. So keeping that kind of transparency of what is possible with Medium and what it takes for me to make what I make, that's been really important to me. Because I think a lot of people, I mean, apparently yourself see me as a Medium expert. Like, I'll be honest, I make about, I don't know, maybe like $2,000 a month from Medium. It's great. I'm not complaining. But I know there are a lot of people who make a lot more than me. And some days I am like, oh God, why can't I get Medium to work for me the way, I don't know, say Sinem can. Sinem does incredibly well on Medium. And that's just, it's not something that I've been able to figure out how to do consistently. So I guess that honesty has always been important to me. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not an expert. I do well. But these are things that you can learn, and even I can always improve.
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of value in those monthly breakdowns, because it's not only like the conscious effort that you make to be transparent about it, but it's also like people can see your progression over time, and then they can learn from what you do online. And I think it's super important. I fully support it. Yeah, we can only be who we are. I do want to ask you about niches, because you famously don't write in a specific niche. You write about a lot of topics. But is that like something that you figure out along the way, or is that just like things that you decided to do and then figure out, okay, I can write whatever I want?
Yeah, so I guess there's two parts to this. The first part is writing has to be fun for me. If it ever becomes work, what's the point? I might as well get a desk job. I get, a more stable paycheck and benefits. And here in America, that's a lot. So I have to make sure that writing is fun for me. Otherwise, I'm not even pursuing anything worth pursuing. So that's part of the reason that I write in whatever I want to write about, whatever catches my attention that day, because that's the benefit for me. I get to write about what I love. Secondly, I do think that Medium is one of the rare places where you don't need a niche, especially not to start out with. I will say this. I think that if I had a niche, I probably would be able to make more money on Medium. If I could force myself to write about, say, like only creator economy, and I could become the creator economy person on Medium, that would maybe be a way for me to make more money. But I don't have to. I can still make enough writing about whatever I want and using publications as a way to still reach readers that I still have the option of pursuing any topic. And I think as a beginner, especially, so someone who's not in my position, someone who's just starting out on Medium, you don't know what your niche is going to be. You don't know what your audience is really going to resonate with you on. You don't know that yet. I thought when I was going to start out that I was going to write about cats. Can you imagine if I'd stuck with just cats? I never would have gotten to where I was today, right? So that's the benefit of Medium. You get to try out, you get to experiment, you get to play around. I do encourage people to build what I call a lane rather than a niche. Don't tie yourself down to like one very, very specific topic, because I think it's boring and you'll run out of things to say. Like I do. Sometimes I don't write about the creator economy because I just don't have any new insights to share with my readers that day, and that's fine. But I think it's really nice to use Medium as a way to figure out what you want your lane to be. Like, do you want to write about cats? Try it out. Do you want to write about food? Do you want to write about travel, data science, programming, like literally anything? And that experimental phase is really, really important for building your business about writing.
Yeah, that's a good segue to talk about your audience. You are almost reaching the milestone of 20,000 followers on YouTube. And
that's exciting.
Yeah, you have 17,000 something.
Dang.
So I'm like, I'm doing like upwards. And you also have like 50,000 followers on Medium. How at this stage, how do you feel like, do you have still the ability to create meaningful connections with people?
It's harder. At the beginning, when I had fewer, I guess, readers and followers, I recognized a lot of names that would come up again and again. But I still feel like the people that really want to connect with me, they'll send me emails, they'll leave comments on my YouTube channel, they'll, buy one of my products, so I'll see their name come up that way. I do a coaching course now where I get to interact with people one-on-one in like a small group format. It's been really amazing. So in terms of I think I'm still able to create content that is helpful for specific people, and that's what I try for when I'm trying to establish a connection. I'm trying to write something that is going to reach the person I have in mind at the right time for them to read it and be like, yes, this is what I needed to get to the next stage in my life. That's what I wanted. So in terms of that connection, I think I'm still able to create content like that, and I hope I will, no matter how big my audience gets. In terms of an audience connection to me, I think it is still possible. It's maybe a little harder to get, I don't like to say get access to me, because that makes me sound like an amusement park. I guess like a way for people to have a conversation with me. Let's say it that way. I think it's still possible though. I mean, like you emailed me and we're having a conversation today. I very rarely say no to like interview requests or things like that, because I remember how many people said yes to me when I was starting my YouTube channel and when I was starting to write articles. So I think it is still possible for me to form meaningful connections with my audience. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you also mentioned you do products and a course. Like, walk me through the decision making behind, like, for example, your templates product. Was that like something that came from your audience as a request, like, please make this? What was the decision behind making that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So that particular product, I don't remember if it was from a specific audience request or not. It was, I do think I had a general question from a lot of readers at that point, which was like, how do you write so quickly? How do you come up with so many ideas that resonate with people? Like, how do you go viral so often? And the answer to all of those questions is I use templates, a certain format that hits readers in a particular way, a certain title structure that works really, really well most of the time, a certain idea generation process I follow to come up with things that are going to be interesting to people, no matter like what their topics are. So I have a couple of different templates that I use regularly to write articles. I've done videos on them on YouTube, and I've done articles about them on Medium and my own blog. And so that was where the idea came from. I was like, okay, well, this is clearly something that people can benefit from. I charge for it because I make like $300 or $400 from YouTube per month. That's not enough for me to live. That's not enough for me to continue doing what I do. So I like to think of it as like a virtuous cycle. Charging for the premium products lets me continue to live a lifestyle that lets me put out a ton of free and still super valuable content. So that was kind of the decision-making process behind coming up with the idea and deciding to charge for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Full disclosure, I bought your template.
Did it work for you?
Yeah. I'm not like, I have my own like process, but I did like said like I would try writing an article with this, and it was like, oh.
The funny thing is, I don't know if this happened to you, but it's almost like you're seeing behind the curtains, because the templates I use, right? Like, there are so many articles on this earth. It's impossible to come up with a unique article structure. A lot of the best ones have been done before, and that's why they're successful, because people figure them out and they're like, okay, this is what works for readers. This is, you do these things in a certain format and it flows so well. So a lot of people, once they bought the template, they would email me to be like, I see this everywhere now. Like, I see it in the New York Times articles. I see it on like The Atlantic. I see it all over Medium. And it is, you start to see a little bit of like the behind the scenes work that a lot of writers do.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Talking about like the content that you make, like doing the research, I noticed that you don't make a lot of content about affiliate marketing. And I was wondering, like, do you plan to like get into affiliate marketing? Is that like something that you exclude on purpose?
It's not something I exclude on purpose. In fact, I think just last month I mentioned that Sinem was doing a webinar that she was doing to promote her product, her Medium Writers Academy, that I've seen all the content, and Sinem's incredible, so I knew it was going to be incredible value. So I mentioned her webinar to my followers through an affiliate link, which I just closed, and made some money that way, which is really cool, and then I got to support a friend, and in return she supported me. So it's not something I exclude on purpose, and it's just something that like it's never been something I've pursued per se. I've always thought if I'm going to sell stuff, it might as well be my own stuff rather than somebody else's. But the only reason I don't create content about it is because I'm not super experienced in it. It's the same reason I didn't create content about SEO a year ago. I didn't know what I was talking about.
Looking at your video catalog, at the beginning you had like a lot of videos, like you made a lot of videos, but looking at like the last like few months, there's a lot more consistency in your branding. Mm-hmm. Is that a conscious effort, like making thumbnails in specific colors or specific templates, or is this just a matter of like saving time, like you have something that is very easy to use?
I hire a graphic designer to do my thumbnails nowadays.
Oh,
I've made
awesome.
it. It's very cool. Yeah, she's been working for me probably since you can scroll back and see exactly when she started working for me because it's that same sort of consistent style of thumbnail. Yeah. In terms of like consistent content, though, I did used to make a lot of videos. I think I was doing maybe 3 a week or something crazy like that. I couldn't keep that up because I don't have time to make 3 videos a week and not edit them to the standard that I would want. So I have slowed down at several points during my YouTube career. I went from 3 to doing 2. So I used to do, I think, like Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday release. And I went to just Tuesday and Friday. And then I went to just Friday. And now I'm doing every other Friday. And the really cool thing is that my income hasn't decreased. It's remained stable the whole time. Or, it's actually slightly increased. Because I used to make about 200, 250 a month. And now I'm up to like 350, 400. Not riches, but something. And I love making my YouTube videos. So it's my indulgence. That was just because I wanted to be able to create quality videos, and I couldn't create quality if I was trying to do it. Even every week was just too much for me. So,
do you also edit your videos yourself?
I do. I used to have an editor, and he did a fantastic job. He really was really, really good. But this was back when I was trying to do more videos more frequently, and I found that the timing was not quite right. Like, he would do something really, really good, but I would be like, oh, can you just tweak this one thing? And of course, he would need time to do that because he had a job and he had other stuff going on, and that was starting to interfere with my release schedule. And there was also a certain point that I was like, his work was amazing. I had zero fault with it. It was just, I was like, I was not able to communicate my vision very well. So I was like, I'm just going to do it myself so I know it's going to come out exactly how I want to because I have full control. So it takes me hours to edit. I think it takes me something like 5 minutes per minute of footage, maybe 10 minutes on a particularly bad one, but it's worth it for me.
Wow, editing it can be such a nightmare sometimes.
It's a huge hassle.
Yeah, I remember in a few interviews that I did with several people, like sometimes you get an interview to like the 50-minute mark or more, and then it's like, okay, now I also need to edit this thing. Great. Okay. You had a combination that I really liked, combining Medium and YouTube together, where you would like create an article and then like have a YouTube video at the top for people who like prefer to watch a video instead of reading. Was that like something that people asked you to do? Like, oh, you also do videos. Can you make a video about this? Or is that
it was the other way around. So I was making videos and people would be like, oh, can you post the transcripts? Can you do you have an article version of this? So that happened more frequently. But at the beginning, it was just like making a piece of content is such a time consuming, and like the idea, coming up with that idea that I think is going to resonate, that takes a lot of time and effort. So I was like, why not just take that idea and make it stretch as far as it'll go? So that was the original inspiration for cross-posting like that. But then, yeah, I realized that a lot of folks were saying, oh, can you make this an article? So I started doing that as well for that reason. So I started making articles from the videos I was posting. Recently, what I've been doing, Oren, is filming the video first, grabbing the transcript, and then just modifying that into an article, which takes so little time and is just fantastic. It's been such a lifesaver for me starting to do that. So I've started doing things in that order: video, then transcript, then article, whereas it used to be the other way around.
I actually started doing something similar. I was like, sometimes like people ask me if they can get the transcript for an interview, and I was like, if I'm already going to make captions for this, I might as well get this on my blog too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Save yourself time and effort.
Yeah. Okay, so like now I have a few like global questions. Looking back on all of your journey from today at the beginning, what are like maybe a couple or a handful of big lessons that you had a hard time learning and served you up to this point?
I resisted titles for a long time, and that is embarrassing to me. When I started writing, I was like, my readers should want to click on this article, whatever it's titled. And I forgot that readers have a lot of other stuff to do with their time, and I need to do my very best to show them that this article is worth clicking on. So, like, I say I figured out titles early, but then I kind of got, like, snobby about it. So I think my first few months on Medium, I had good articles because I was basically mimicking the articles, the titles that I saw on Medium. And then after that, I was like, oh, I've found my readers. They're going to find me, whatever. They love me. No, I had to relearn how to do titles and that. I mean, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I was so arrogant. Why was I like that? So that's something that's my number one lesson. Titles matter so much. Titles are, I would say, like, at least 50% of the reason an article is successful, if not more. Like, if you want to go viral, you have to start thinking about titles, and the sooner the better. The second, networking. I also resisted networking for a long time because I was like, I want to go it alone. I want to do it my own way. I can do it myself. Which sucked. It was lonely, and it was a lot harder than it needed to be. I started making friends, maybe like a year into Medium. I stopped seeing people as competition and started seeing them as colleagues and peers. And that has made all the difference to my quality of life, to my products, to my network. I mean, I hate the word network because it feels so transactional, but I can't deny that a lot of the business I get nowadays is because someone's like, oh, hey, someone reached out to me looking for a writer, but I'm too busy. I said that you'd be a great person to get in touch with. Stuff like that. That happens when you become friends with people who know your value and you know theirs. Yeah, so the third lesson that I resisted for a long time was learning to sell. I was embarrassed to sell. I didn't believe in myself enough to sell. I didn't want to create products. I wanted to give it all away for free. And I felt that I was wrong to even want to charge for templates or courses or anything like that. But I realized that what I have, and I'm talking to you, the listener or the viewer right now, what you have is valuable. Your expertise means something. It is monetarily valuable for yourself, and you deserve to charge money for your premium products. We're doing sales all the time. Like when I craft a good title, I'm selling my article to someone. They're exchanging their time and giving me money because I've crafted a good title. That's soft selling, but it's still selling. And as worth it as it is to come up with a good title, it's also worth coming up with a good product, figuring out how to market it, and offering it to an audience who wants to buy it from you. I didn't think I was worthy of that for a long time, and I wish I'd started that journey sooner.
Yeah, those are some very insightful points. That's awesome, Zulie. Okay, so I think we wrapped up your journey. Now let's talk about the future. What's the future for Zulie Rane?
If I can be totally honest with you, my journey up until this point has been mostly organic and accidental, right? Like, I stumbled into Medium, I found freelancing clients, I made friends, all of it kind of happened by accident. I wish I could tell you there's a master plan that I've orchestrated all of these little moving pieces to give me a successful life, but it wasn't. I followed what made me happy and what was important to me, and it led me to where I am today. So as for the future, I don't know what it's going to look like. I can tell you what's important to me. One thing that's really important to me is going back to write that fiction book. I've written a couple of drafts of novels before, but this is the first time I've really decided to take it seriously. I'm going to be writing it. I'm going to be pitching agents. I'm going to be trying to edit it myself. And one thing that's been really difficult and exciting for me is setting aside Thursday. So every Thursday, I don't do any client work. I don't do any platform work. I don't do any sales. I work on my book for the whole day. That's all I do every Thursday. And it's scary. It's hard. It means that I have to say no to paying work. Because I'm like, I have to start prioritizing my book. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. So that's one element that I plan on seeing in my future is publishing a book. Something else that's really important to me is keeping my free time. So I've got a ton of holidays coming up, and I want to go on them, and I don't want to bring my work laptop with me. So that's something else that I see in my future is not working very much in the fall and the winter, which is really nice. And I think the third thing The third thing I want to see is a little bit more balance between my different income streams. So my day-to-day is varied. I do, like today, for example, I'm doing this interview with you. I've got a call with some work colleagues in a couple of minutes. I've got some client work. I've got some platform work that I have to do. A year ago, I talked to Amardeep. He interviewed me for his YouTube channel, and I thought of this concept of seasons, of doing a certain type of work for a certain block of time and then switching to a different kind of work. So, I'd spend a month doing client work, a month doing platform work, and sort of front-loading it like that. I haven't forgotten about that. I haven't gotten around to it, but that's also something that I would love to see in my future, is a more organized style of work where I can dedicate myself fully to clients, or I can dedicate myself fully to my platform, and go from there.
Awesome. Wow, those are some good goals to work towards. That's awesome. Great. So thank you so much for talking to me, Zulie. This was a pleasure. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me 3 different places. The place where, sort of the hub, if you will, is zuliewrites.com. That's my blog. It's my shop. I post my YouTube channel there as well. The second place is my Medium blog. So that's on my work blog. I only post stuff about writing. On my Medium blog, I post stuff about all kinds of different stuff that I love writing about. So if you want to get a fuller picture of what my interests are and my sort of blog posts, zulie.medium.com. And the third place you can find me is where I post my videos about how to grow your blogging empire and make a living by writing about what you love. youtube.com/C/Zulie Rane Writes.